Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's Tuesday, 26th of November. My name is Graham Day, and this man in a box, just there with his top of his head missing, is the Bib. You need to squash down, Bib. Good morning, Bib. How you doing?
Good morning, Graham. I'm fine in this little box that you're making me squish down.
I'm just going to try reposition you.
Edits on the fly.
Yeah.
I just need to get the stream up on my PC.
What did you get it to last night? Oh, no.
I watched a lot of American Horror Story. I finished season 2. The thing is, I've watched a lot of them, but I've just not watched them in order, which is just dumb. So I've watched Roanoke. I've watched most of Hotel, and there's another one that 1984 that I sent you the intro for, because it's literally the best intro that I've ever seen on a TV show ever.
It did actually look pretty decent, to be fair. Still editing on the fly.
But yeah, that was. I didn't really play any. I didn't play any games last night, to be fair. Well, I'm fairly certain that there's going to be a ding ding moment as to what you played last night.
There is. I played ding 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 PUBG again. Only just to do my dailies. I was probably on it for about half an hour. That's about it. Because yesterday was just all about more Brooklyn Nine-Nine. If you haven't seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine, by the way, check it out. It's on Netflix. Most people will have seen it because it's obviously best part of like 7-8 years old, whatever, but it's badass. I finally started watching through it, so yeah. Good morning, says Bacon Chin. Good morning. Good evening, says Number One Pirate, who has just dropped a host. Thank you very much, Mr. Pirate, Number One Pirate. He's not number 2, he's the number 1. Did you like the new baby stickers?
Best ever.
Pretty sick. Not gonna lie, pretty good. Pretty good. But yes, you might have seen we have some pretty tasty news focusing on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. You might have seen that from our tweets on Twitter. That's twitter.com/@icecreamuploads, or just icecreamuploads and /@. Okay, you get what I'm saying. Anyway, we are Ice Cream Uploads across all social media. Check it out. !! Socials in the chat should bring the links through. But this is the scoop. Which is playing the fact that we're called ice cream. That's what it is. Anyway, we bring you our daily scoop of the news from the games industry and beyond. We have a little bit of a discussion, and you guys in the chat get to discuss that with us. We are live 10 a.m. every single weekday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We then turn this into a video podcast that we upload to YouTube roughly an hour or so after the show, and then a little bit later on after that, we upload an audio version to podcast services that include iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play. Pow! All 4 in one. I'm nailing this. Baby's frozen on my screen. It looks like... For those of you that are listening...
It's not...
Oh, no. Is R2D2C3PO kind of thing. Anyway, those of you listening on audio services, Baby just froze then, so I did the same thing. That's why there was a gap. So I apologize for that. Anyway, we will be live, as I said, on those 4 podcast services a little bit later on today. So if you were in the chat, you guys are the only ones that get to have a discussion with us on behalf of everyone else, so make sure you do. Baby, move. Do like some sort of like dodgy arm movement kind of thing. Oh, we have another host, Bacon Chin, host on the stream. Thank you very much. There we go. He's alive. Yeah, just making sure we had some movement coming from him.
Do I just have to continue to keep on doing this until I stop, and then that's when you know that the stream's gone to shit?
I think we need to let the chat have the say on that. So chat should maybe do that for the rest of the stream. For those of you listening, Bibby is just kind of like flailing. Actually, do you know what you remind me of? Have you ever seen that video of it's like some dudes just kind of running down the road with their arms out straight and then wafting from the elbows to the tune of "Take on Me"? You look kind of like that. Anyway, that's what it was like. I need to kill my emails.
I was saying that my face looks weird. I'm not having that. To be fair, it does look weird because I've got no beard. Maybe no beard at the moment.
Go away, bloody emails. Actually, that's why. Kill Outlook notifications. Get out of here. So, we won't leave you hanging for much longer, although I would prefer the robot. The Robib. That's what we'll call it. The Robib. Let's jump into the news. So you guys might have seen, obviously, we teased. It's kind of, some people if you didn't play the Tony Hawk's games back in the day, PS1, PS2 sort of era. I mean, PS1 was only where it was at for me. By the time I got to PS2, it was just not the same. Anyway, if you didn't play those games, then this probably won't have the same impact as it would be for people that have. But let's jump straight in. This is a Eurogamer article written by Matt Wales, and he says, pro skateboarder Lizzie Armanto says there's a new Tony Hawk game in the works. As rumours continue to swirl, is the tagline. So once again, this is by Matt Wales from Eurogamer. He says, it's been 4 years since the world was last graced with a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game. And, as we've all tried to forget it, it was rubbish. Even so, despite late life missteps, love for the series lingers on, and recent whispers from those seemingly in the know suggest fans may finally be set to get the Pro Skater revival they've been hoping for. Word of a new... Sorry, there was a crazy man in the room.
I was a bit excited then. Sorry.
Word of a new Tony Hawk game.
Try and hold it in.
Chill out, man! I'm trying to bloody read. Do you know? Actually, reminded me of. There's a scene in Brooklyn Nine-Nine where like Jake, the main character, goes, "I've got a plan. This is what we're gonna do," and he has like a split second of a pause, and Boyle goes, "So what are we gonna do?" Just as he starts saying it, and he goes, "I was just about to say it." He goes, "Okay." And then he starts saying, he goes, "So tell us the plan." It's like, how about just stop talking and I'll do... So that was essentially that moment. Anyway, word of a new Tony Hawk game initially began to circulate over the weekend when reliable industry leaker Sabi shared word from an Activision source suggesting that prototype remakes of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 had been doing the rounds internally. Sabi did note, however, that nobody seems to know if both games are being fully remade or if it's just a test for something else. That uncertainty might well have already been cleared up elsewhere, though, thanks to a recent interview unearthed by fans. It goes on to show the tweets within the article now. So this is Sabi, or at new_wabi-sabi on Twitter. Explanation of what I shared in my server. An Activision contact told me a week or so ago about how Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 had demos/prototypes remade. They went around internally. I didn't share before as I wasn't sure if they were being remade as full games or just a test. I shared this info with a few people, such as at Genos Papa. Interestingly, Liam Robertson just mentioned this info in his podcast, seemingly corroborating the info. Nobody seems to know if both games are being fully remade or if it's just a test for something else. So now back to the article. Back in October, it turns out that professional skateboarder Lizzie Armanto told the 9 Club podcast during a brief back and forth about her appearance in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5 that Hawk is coming out with another one and I'll be in that too. That revelation can be heard at around the 2005 mark in this SoundCloud upload, and there's the link in the article. But intriguingly, the line, as noted by Games Radar, has since been excised from other versions, including this YouTube recording, once again linked in the article, where the cut is evident shortly after the 2-hour mark. Despite the slowly mounting evidence pointing towards a new Tony Hawk game, it goes without saying that nothing is certain until Activision makes it official. The last big razzmatazz opportunity to do so in 2019 would likely be during December's Video Game Awards, but there's no reason to believe that any such announcement is planned for this year. Of course, Activision has had huge success in recent times with its various nostalgia-tweaking Spyro the Dragon and Crash Bandicoot remakes. As such, it wouldn't be a huge surprise to learn that the company is officially dusting off Tony Hawk Pro Skater, another of its fondly remembered properties, for a long awaited revival. Woo!
I think they've been listening to this podcast, because what did I say about 2 weeks ago when we was talking about Session? I said what they need to do is bring out a Tony Hawk's game that has all of the best maps, all of the best game modes from the first 3 or 4 games, stick them into one game, and just release them as Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. And boom! That's $1 million idea right there. You can have that one for free. That's a free idea that you can have. You own all the IPs and everything like that. Just go and release them. That's all I want. A remaster of one of the games, and just chuck all the rest of the shit in there. Charge 25 quid. Jobs are good, and you've made a lot of money there. Just do that.
Yeah, see, I'd
have that for free.
I'd be happy enough with just 1 and 2. I mentioned it when we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, that after we got to 2, it kind of fell off for me, in my opinion, because the things that, like collecting the tapes and collecting skate and things like that, they just kind of threw loads of that in. So rather than it being, this is a game that I can complete in a week, a couple of weeks, or whatever of intensive playing, it just became a stupid amount of play. So yeah, if we could get to that sort of gameplay where it's not just stuff thrown in for the sake of throwing it in because we can do it, and it just gives people more stuff to do. I believe that just kind of for me it distracted from how fun it was. It just started to become a bit of a chore then.
But yeah, there's a. If they could do that, add in the creator skate park so that everybody can play in other people's skate parks. Have it so that on certain maps you can set a high score and then I can try to beat it to claim first spot. Just little small things like that. Perfect game. Just re-release that.
I may or may not be playing Superman from the original Tony Hawk's underneath you speaking there, baby. I don't know. It's probably stupidly loud, so if it is, I apologise. I'll stop it now. Everything I can. Anyway, sorry. I may also have not listened to what you just said then, babe. So what did you say?
No, it's fine, mate. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I'll just sit here and talk to myself.
I'm sorry. I mean,
I'll just type it in the chat.
You occasionally just sit there and don't move anywhere on my screen, so that's fine.
That's fine. That's a very good point. What we're saying is, for those of you that didn't hear because of Superman being played, amazing tune by the way, by Goldfinger. If they do the creator skate park so that we can download each other's skate parks and then release something like a multiplayer mode on it, so if you get a certain amount of points or you collect skate the fastest, I have the opportunity to dive into that map and then try and take top spot on top of that.
I spent forever in the creator skate park thinking about it. I completely forgot that was even in there. I always think of like I have like 3 go-to phrases. Do you know, like certain things that just stick out in your memory? One of them for me is kickflip McTwist, and Bucky Lasek. I don't even know who Bucky Lasek is. I've never seen him in real life. And then the 900, obviously, and then skate, the tapes, and Roswell. After that, it all starts to kind of fade into my old man memory. Morning, guys, says Dead to D-Mac. Good morning. Good morning. So yeah. So I completely forgot that you could even customise your own skatebacks. I spent hours doing that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It'd be so sick if I could download. Because you can do it on like the golf club, where you can create your own create your literally own golf course, and I can go and download it or play in it and stuff like that. So it's not as if that kind of community creator, whatever creator skate park thing doesn't exist anymore. It's well used. Morning, D-Mac. Came third yesterday in the ESL. He's going to be representing England.
Hey, good lad, lads. How did you get on in the tournament? Let us know. Oh, 1 second.
He came third. I think it was top 4 that go into like a playoff in December sometime. I'm not sure. Oh god, that's the hottest brew. I had a pizza last night and it's burnt the roof of my mouth, my lips and everything, so anything that I'm eating hot today is just going to absolutely ruin me. Oh, for God's sake. Is that my actual face?
No, I just found a beard online.
To be fair, I am extremely happy about that.
Oh, keep still. Oh, no, not quite. Need to move it a bit.
Oh, that is quality.
For those of you that don't know,
I'll take that.
For those of you that don't know, Pirate in the chat has said, actually, Bacon Chip first said, no beard, an accidental shave was it? And then Pirate says, Bibby no beard looks weird, I'm not used to it. Can we put a fake beard on the Bibby Graham? Which is exactly what I've just done. I've just found an image of a beard on the internet and just stuck it on Bibby's face. So there we go.
Yeah, it was a shaving accident.
Yeah, it's one of those where you don't realise the shave is lower than you expected, so...
Mm-hmm.
Babyard, babyard, boop, boop, boop. Babe bib and beard bib. Boom, boom.
That's definitely going as a thumbnail today.
Anyway.
I just look even more pasty white than I usually do without the beard.
I think it needs to be a touch larger. There we go. It's perfect.
Morning, Griff. You've come into an absolute shit show here.
I'm so happy with that. That is amazing. 1 second. I'm going to see. I've always wondered why.
I'm trying to keep completely still here. I mean, for those of you that are listening to this on audio, but an audio after this has gone after this has finished being live, I do feel extremely sorry for you. Look at Grain trying to rob my beard here. That's so hipster.
Anyway,
it actually looks like my old beard though, which is just rubbing it in.
Do you know what? Just because the chat have demanded that I will move it back. So should we?
Pirate, the event was about 3.5 hours long by the looks of it.
What, the ESL one?
Yeah, it wasn't. It didn't seem as quick as the FIFA ones that I was doing, and also, DMAX said that the first season one that they did went a hell of a lot quicker. There were just a lot of people that didn't turn up. Always leaving it till the last. You get. I think it's 15 minutes you get in the PES one, and people was joining after 14 minutes. So that then sets you back because obviously you have to play a 20-minute game then.
I always wonder why people have done that. I always wonder if it's like a
psychological stuff.
Not only that, like it's like having the team waiting on the pitch as you come out of the tunnel at the very last second. So there's that bit, but then I always wonder if they leave it to 14 minutes, like Bibby might jump into the chat, into the room, and we're going, it's not even here. Do you know what? I'm going to drop out and ask questions, and then if they jump in at 14 minutes, Bibby's not there, and they're like, hey.
Yeah.
Morning, guys. Hope you're well, says Griff. Good morning. Good morning. Like Bibby said, jumped in at the perfect time as we were tinkering with beards. But the news, let's jump off. I have a screen full. Do you know, I'll show you what I have on my screen. This is what you call dedication to the cause. Beards! All of the beards in the world. So let me get rid of all of the beards. Get out of here. So yeah, we jumped into the fact that Lizzie Armanto has all but confirmed in a leak on a previous podcast a few months back, which has since been almost entirely erased from history, and then reconfirmed by an industry leaker that a new Tony Hawk's game is potentially in the works. And we say new, we're unsure if it's Tony Hawk's 1 or Tony Hawk's 2 as like a reboot, not a reboot, but being remade, or whether it's something new entirely. But either way, pretty good. Yeah. But let's move on. Let's move on from one remake to another. Sticking with Eurogamer though, because why not? Final Fantasy VII Remake will have new bosses, says Tom Phillips from Eurogamer. Work on next part already underway. I'm disappointed, Eurogamer, this morning, because your taglines are usually on point, and these ones are just business as usual. There's no banter, no puns, no humour. So
lead up to Christmas, man. Everyone's winding down.
Thanksgiving. They've already given their thanks. Get out of here. Square Enix has detailed more of its changes coming to the Final Fantasy VII Remake, including the addition of new characters and boss battles. And somewhat unsurprisingly, the developers confirmed work is already underway on the remake's next chapter. In brackets, the first one is expected to focus primarily on Midgar. With regards to new characters, director Tetsuya Nomura said in a blog post, of whom I said during past interviews that there would be none, though they aren't main characters, their numbers ended up growing considerably in the process of creating a rich depiction of Midgar. When you think of Midgar's... jumped too far. When you think of Midgar's final boss, you probably think of the M-O-T-O-R, which spells the word motor, with full stops in between it. Lovely. But in this game, new bosses will appear and add to the excitement of the story even more. We've already begun working on the next one as well, but I'm confident that playing through this title will expand your expectations, just like the world that extends beyond Midgar. A host of new screenshots released today gives us a good look at Midgar, Aerith's house, and a new glimpse at a new weapon upgrade interface. And those images are linked in the article from a tweet from Aoife Wilson from Eurogamer Team. See if I can click on those. I was waiting for that to unpixelate, but no, that's just what the image looks like. Obviously, because it's an old school game. That looks sick, though.
That's the original one, isn't it?
Yeah, that is badass. So, boom to bam. For those of you who don't know this, that listen to our audio services, we have an image of the original Final Fantasy VII on the PS1. So naturally, you can see the color palette in pixels. Whereas we jump to the remake, it's just basically you're looking at an image that's essentially taken from Lord of the Rings. You've got hills, greenery, little almost like Hobbit-esque buildings, bridges. It just looks pretty sick. And then again, another image from the PS1, an indoor image as people are having a little chat with dialogue on screen, to the updated version, which is almost like a HD cabin in the woods kind of thing. Looks pretty sick. Pretty sick. So yes, I mean, I was never really a Final Fantasy guy apart from, I mean, I've mentioned it before, apart from Final Fantasy X, but even then, I only played Final Fantasy X for Blitzball. I mean, I did like the story with Tidus and co, but it was Blitzball that managed to kind of like intro me into the game and see me through it. That turn-taking RPG stuff, Pokemon, I think, is the only thing where I've kind of lived through that and got into the mindset of it. You have to obviously like a certain type of game to play those RPGs, and generally not for me, but yeah, like I say, 10 kind of brought it through. But
you might actually like this one though.
It looks pretty sick. I mean, I did play some of it. When I say play some of it, do you know when your mate plays a game and you kind of play it with him? I remember a mate back, I think it was like year 7 of high school, playing with my mate Jamie on his PlayStation, and I think the main thing that turned me off about Final Fantasy VII was that you needed a full memory card to be able to save your save game. It took like 15 spaces on the old like PS1 memory cards. So I was like, I've got one memory card. I'm a poor kid. There's no way I'm buying another memory card, and I'm not deleting my my SmackDown saves. So no, mate, I'm not playing this game ever. And the fact it was like a bajillion discs, so I couldn't even just go through and play it in one sick move.
I really liked the 7. I mean, I didn't actually play it until, like you said, basically the same route that you take. I was obviously a Pokemon player, and that's what got me into turn-based combat. And it was only after I'd seen Mike playing this, who's a couple of years older than me, that I thought, actually, that looks pretty sick. So my mum ended up getting it me for my birthday. I haven't played it for years and years and years. However, when the new one comes out, they're making it as not as turn-based combat. It's going to be real time, so that may interest you a little bit more. It's more of an action game than a turn-based combat game.
I do love seeing things like that. I mean, if you are listening to the audio service of this game, in the show notes we will have links to the articles that we are talking about on the screen. If you are listening to it, if you're driving, just kind of leave it. But for now, anyway, maybe check it out a little bit later on. But if you do get a chance, check out Aoife Wilson or Aoife Lockhart on Twitter from the Eurogamer team. Actually, just check out that article, because the tweet is embedded within it, and look at the before and after, or as she's called it, then versus now images, because it did look pretty cool back then, but it just looks incredible now in terms of the amount of quality that they've gone into. So yeah.
It looks like it's going to play a lot like Crisis Core, and Crisis Core was on PSP, and it was amazing. I absolutely adored it. It was one of the reasons why I actually got a PSP. That and the Pro Evos, so I could play Master League on the go. But Crisis Core was amazing. I loved it.
Crisis Core. Yeah. I remember you saying. LMAO, did you say high school? Do you not know what a high school is? A secondary school? I always assumed your level of education was a bit questionable, but that's kind of proven it now. But yes, high school.
Is Pirate older than you?
I don't actually know.
I think it might be.
He's about 76, I believe. But yes, Final Fantasy is being remade, as we've known for a while. But if you missed the first story, that's the second remake that we've spoken about. Tony Hawk's and Final Fantasy. It's like living in the PS1 era. It's just weird for you to say high school. Is it?
What else do you call it? What else do you call it? I know there's high school and secondary school, but it's the same thing.
Why is it? I don't get why it's weird. I went to Rawthorpe High School, which doesn't exist anymore. The school does, but the name's changed. But it was called Rawthorpe High School, so I don't get why.
Mine was called Astley High School and then changed to Astley Sports College when I was in like year 8. But yeah, it was always a high school.
Yeah, mine was a high school. Anyway, enough about schools. Let's give you a little bit of schooling of your own as we talk tech now. See what I did there? Nice little tangent. And this time we jump into an article on VG247 written by Emily Gera. PlayStation 5 is expected to hit next year, and it's meant to be faster than ever. Sony's next console could use Samsung SSD to load games faster, according to Samsung during a presentation in Tokyo today, as reported by Nico Partners senior analyst Daniel Ahmad. That guy's badass, by the way, Daniel Ahmad. I think it is... I don't know how to pronounce it. It's either Z-Huge-X or Z-Huge-EX on Twitter, but his knowledge of all of the stats from the games industry is incredible. So if you check him out. Anyway, the tech company revealed it is currently working on an NVMe SSD I don't know what that means. That's a there we go, an explanation right after it. That's non-volatile memory express. I was like, what's another me? And then literally go straight into the explanation. That's great. Cheers, guys. I also don't know the winning lottery numbers for tonight. No, they're not in the article. God's sake. Anyway, so I'll start again. The tech company revealed it's currently working on an NVMe SSD that's a non-volatile memory express, which will be used on an upcoming game console next year. While Samsung doesn't explicitly name the PlayStation 5, an accompanying slide features a picture of a PlayStation DualShock controller. Samsung claimed the new SSD will introduce a new era in games consoles, with reduced load times when loading games or booting up your system. It's estimated that a standard hard drive takes just under 50 seconds for a system boot. An SSD takes around 29 seconds, while an optimized NVMe will take a lot less. However, exactly how long that isn't clear just yet. As was previously confirmed, PlayStation 5 is said to support a custom AMD GPU with support for ray tracing and 8K resolution, although it will continue compatibility with the PSVR headset. Sony already said its new console will greatly reduce loading time in games, but it wasn't confirmed what technology was in place to do that. The company showed how quickly the PS5 can load PS4 games earlier this year, with a PS5 gameplay reveal booting Marvel's Spider-Man in 0.8 seconds.
That was literally the example that I was going to give. I didn't realize that was already at the bottom of the article, but yeah, I mean, solid SSDs should be the norm going into these new consoles. Now they've been the norm for PCs for about 3 years now. Anyway, that just have your operating system on. I'd never put any games or anything on my SSD. Literally just my operating system. But yeah, this kind of should be the norm going forward anyway, and I'm glad to see that's with some games that still take an absolute eternity to load into some scenes or respawn or whatever, that we're actually getting to a point where you don't have to wait around. It's literally just boom, you're straight back into the game again.
Yeah. Excuse me. I think having, like you say, SSDs, I think the only reason it wasn't confirmed from the off that SSDs were going to be included in the next generation, I believe there was a conversation about cost. Excuse me 1 second. There we go. Audio listeners, enjoy the deafness. So yeah, I believe that it was always something that was kind of aimed for. They were always kind of hoped to make the switch to SSDs, but SSDs, as with any new tech, has quite a stupidly high price. But then, as with any new tech, soon as it starts to become normalized, the price just goes drops massively. So imagine the first time you saw someone talking about a DVD player. I've got a DVD player or a Blu-ray player. How much is that? $1,000. Nice. And then fast forward a year later, and you could buy one for $17.99 in Asda kind of thing, and you're like, what the fuck? So I imagine we'll see that with SSDs. And I remember, I'm pretty sure it was discussed at the same time as that Spider-Man thing that they mentioned at the bottom in terms of the speed that they can boot from an SSD. I remember just prior to that, that's where the conversation around whether it's cost effective to put an SSD into a console, because the end user then suddenly has to pay £700 for a console or not. But yeah, I mean, the fact that we kind of get in there, SSD prices are dropping, and they have dropped quite considerably over the last couple of years. So yeah, hopefully that won't be too much of an issue for us when it comes to purchasing the consoles as consumers. Or that could lead to a significant drop in the price of consoles as time goes on anyway. We might launch it around $400, $500 or pounds, and then by the time we get to a year or so in, we might drop down to 800. 800? I've just looked at 800 just there. but might drop down to 300 or 250.
It may drop down to £300 more.
Quick maths!
But yeah, I think it's good. I hope we get to a point where SSDs are going to be in all of the new consoles, purely for the fact, again, it is just loading speeds from either getting into the game, or if you die, you don't have to wait around for 30 seconds while it loads in. I mean, having an SSD in there could make the game a lot better, because it seems like I'm just going around in the circles. But like we mentioned this before, with like Resident Evil, I had to hide the fact that they had loading screens, because he just followed me around with a beard. They used to hide the fact that they had loading screens by doors opening and things like that. So the need for the doors opening in those games, if it was 20 years ago, wouldn't need to be there. But yeah, it should just be the norm, is where I'm going with this one. I feel like sometimes I'm just talking just for the sake of fucking talking, but I don't get my point out.
It doesn't help when you're almost at the point of making the point, and then you realise that someone's tracking your face with a beard. So that's by the way, for those of you on audio services. I've mentioned it earlier on the show, but obviously we have now a source that we can load up whenever we want to re-beard the bib. So I keep tinkering with that. So if you hear that, that's what's happening. I'm placing a bib on Bibby's freshly shaven shavy face, freshly shaven baby face instead. Maybe it's a north-south thing. The secondary schools. Okay, yeah, possibly. I think that could be a case. I'm going grey. It's depressing. Yeah, I know that feeling in the beard. Did they ever replace the bell on the masquerade.raw thought because I stole it on my second to last day? I'm not sure they did, but I do remember the bell going off. And a bit of context, Fatman Dave is my brother. We went to the same school, and obviously we're talking about high schools versus secondary schools. And obviously our school bell was kind of a red bell that had a little hammer that went ring, but it had a screw on the front on second to last day because why not? My brother stole the bell, and then rather than it going ring, it just go like a as this like hammer kind of flaps away. Now I left it at my friends, but it came back and bit me in the arse the last day because my homeroom was on the mass corridor, so we didn't hear the final bell. Unlucky, baby. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of, admittedly, I'm kind of at the point of fatigue now because obviously we are trying to find any news we can, and we being the royal we, the games industry in general, is trying to find any news we can to talk about the PS5 because we want to know what it is. We all want exclusives, and when you've got people like Daniel Ahmad or Zed Hugh Jex from Nico Partners dropping like knowledge bombs, particularly, obviously he covers Asia, and obviously Samsung, PlayStation, they're all kind of coming out of that area kind of thing. That's obviously, see, Samsung's just had a presentation in Tokyo, so you can start to extrapolate little bits of information from that, but I'm getting to the point where I don't want to know how many more teraflops or if I can play in 8K or the backwards compatibility. I mean, backwards compatibility is quite nice, and it's all quite nice, but I want something. I'm getting to the point where I want to see more, and I know that it's probably going to be maybe a PS experience kind of thing, a PlayStation experience in March. Not that I don't know if there is one then or not. I actually don't. That's not a leak, by the way. So yeah, I think it's going to be something like that before we start to get it. So it's just it's a little bit frustrating because I know for the next few months we're going to be like feeding around on scraps as it might or might not potentially have some of those possibly. And it's like so yeah. I mean we will still absolutely be sat there lapping it all up, but I just like a little bit more meat to go on the bones, so to speak. But I also know that I pretty much have a PS5 because I have an Samsung SSD in my PC just there, so who needs a PS5? Got it, mate. Completed it, mate. Yeah, I was going to carry on with that, but let's move forward. Into. Do you know what? Let's switch things up. Let's talk about a game that's being remade. We've not done that at all today. As we jump into Game Revolution. This is an article by Paul TAMBURRO. Once again, I feel like I'm probably going to mention this every time we speak about Game Revolution as well, specifically because we've just been talking about high schools. But Game Revolution was my go-to cheats website at high school. Do you know when you kind of... I think I referenced it previously. If you needed to know the moves to do certain moves in WWF Attitude on the PlayStation, or if you needed the GTA cheat codes and things like that, there was always websites or magazines. Like certain magazines would have pages of cheat codes in the back. Game Revolution was always my go-to cheats website. So yeah, it's still
at least it's still about.
Yeah, exactly. It's nice to see. So, rumour! Super Metroid Remake and Metroid Prime Trilogy HD are coming to Nintendo Switch. Super Metroid Remake and Metroid Prime Trilogy HD are reportedly on their way to Nintendo Switch. New claims have been made by a noted Nintendo insider who has suggested that 2 new Metroid games are on their way to the console. I mean, we've only read the title on the first paragraph, but I'm kind of getting the idea that new games are on their way to the Switch. The claims have been made by Leaky Panda, a Twitter user who has previously correctly predicted Nintendo Direct presentations, including Banjo-Kazooie's unveiling as Super Smash Bros. Ultimate DLC during E3 2019. Now, Leaky Panda has claimed in a tweet that 2 Metroid games will release over the next 2 fiscal years, with Metroid Prime Trilogy HD reportedly releasing on Switch in the fiscal year 2020 to 2021, while Super Metroid Remake will launch in the fiscal year 2021 to 2022. This means that we should have received 2 brand new Metroid titles by April 2022. Leaky Panda has also claimed that Super Metroid Remake will mimic Metroid Samus Returns in style and scope. The 2017 3DS game was a reimagining of Metroid 2 Return of Samus, so this suggests that Super Metroid Remake would take similar creative liberties with the original source material. These rumours line up with Kinda Funny host and former Game Informer senior editor Imran Khan's claim that Metroid Prime Trilogy is set to be announced for the Nintendo Switch in December. This would suggest that it will be unveiling during the Game Awards, which will also take place that month. Nintendo has already enjoyed great success with its remakes, re-releases, and reimaginings of classic library of games. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening was well received earlier this year, giving the Game Boy Classic a fresh lick of paint, while Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee were new takes on the Game Boy's Pokemon Yellow. Super Metroid was originally released on the SNES in 1994 and is widely regarded as one of the best games released on the system. Metroid Prime Trilogy was originally released on the Wii back in 2009, with it featuring all 3 of the Retro Studios Prime games.
Have you ever played a Metroid game before?
I played Super Metroid on the SNES, and I haven't played one since. What about you?
Yes. I recently, well, I say recently, in the last 2 months, went back and played the GameCube one, which is, I think, critically the best one that's ever been. So yeah, I've been back and played that one. I mean, I played it years and years ago anyway, but I think this is probably going to be another system seller, because the people who are hardcore Metro fans want to be able to play these games when they go again. It just feeds the fact I've been saying this since we started the show and before. That the Switch is easily the best games console there is out there at the moment. It beats the PS4, it beats the Xbox. Probably doesn't beat a PC, but yeah, I love the portability. I love the fact that AAA games are getting onto this. I love the fact that games that people have a massive amount of nostalgia about, they're getting ported onto this one. I'm going to mention Resident Evil. I absolutely adore it, as we all very know, but I am still not paying 35. I'm still not paying £35 for the game on the Switch. Drop it down to about 15, and I'll buy them all for £15 each. But I'm not spending 35 quid on there. So if they price them all right and they bring these games over to the Switch, you're going to find a completely new customer base, or you're going to get the people like myself who are dickheads that buy the game on every single platform that the game comes out for.
I used to really, really like Super Metroid. I remember having a SNES, and obviously my parents were, obviously as if you would already know, my parents were separated. So I went to my dad's at Christmas, and I was in one of my cousin's houses, and they had a SNES as well. I didn't have Super Metroid, but they had it anyway. I sat there playing the games. I thought I'll have a look through the games. Mortal Kombat, played a little bit of Mortal Kombat Standard. Love Mortal Kombat. Nice. And then saw Super Metroid. I thought, I've never even played that one. Let's put it in. And it was badass. At the time, though, I'd never heard of it. Didn't know anything about it. And I thought my character was like some red-headed woman that kept flicking her hair around and stuff like that. I didn't realise it was like some bloke in a suit kind of thing. I was like, I kept referring it to my cousin for like weeks afterwards, as going, "What's that game? You know, one with the red-headed woman." He's like, "No idea. What are you on about?" So yeah, but anyway, I actually really, really enjoyed the game. I've never played one since, though. I mean, I played through Super Metroid. Can't remember much about it other than the ability to shoot bits, and you've got long red ponytail, but other than that, fine. No, I don't remember. But yeah, I mean, I always thought Super Metroid was the best one. I didn't realise that the 64 was like an upgrade. Now, what separated the 64 one, or did you not play any of the early ones? I mean, what made that one better, or was it just kind of like a
Metroid Prime was on the GameCube, and it was first person. So it wasn't third person. It wasn't a third person platforming kind of game.
Okay.
It's a completely different change of pace. And I've literally just Googled it now, and the Metacritic on it was 97%.
Damn.
For Metroid Prime. I knew it was like one of the most popular games ever on the GameCube and beyond. But I didn't realise it had 97% on Metacritic.
It looks kind of like Halo-ish. Like I've just googled Metro. Oh no, that's Metro Prime 3. Never mind. Yeah, Metroid Prime 3 must be like some sequel, but it's kind of gone first person then. So yeah, Metroid Prime by that point looks, because obviously you're seeing it from Samus's suit perspective. It looks kind of Halo by the time you get to that point.
It's honestly though, if you've never picked it up before and you've still got your original Wii that you can play GameCube games on, which was what I was doing, then it's definitely worth playing through again if you've not played it for a while or you've just never played it before, because it is a brilliant game. And again, the fact that these are meant to be coming out on the Switch, boom.
If you could have any SNES game or any 64 game brought and remastered, not necessarily for the Switch, for any format, what would you choose?
That's a good question, because it's always come down to like No Mercy. Everyone loves the No Mercy, but you can play mods of that now on your PC with what is it? There's one that came out, is like the Aki Club, Feel the Bang, I think it was called. And then it was like an all-encompassing mod for No Mercy, which had the old roster of WWE, some of the new wrestlers, as well as AEW and WCW all merged into one, where you can play with the N64 game engine for back then. But I actually don't know what game I'd bring through, because Mario Kart was good on it, but Mario Kart 8 pisses all over it. Everyone raves about GoldenEye, but we've had much better games since, and it's obviously, you look back on nostalgia because you had 4 people next to you playing couch co-op, playing GoldenEye, but the couch co-op days are pretty much dead now. You just play with your friends online. So I don't actually know what game I'd want to see remastered. They've remastered the Zeldas from it as well, since they've re-released them on 1,000,001 consoles. So it's difficult to say which game I'd want to be remastered from that era. There's none in my mind that stand out, really.
What about you guys in the chat? Do you have any games for the SNES or 64, or I mean, we could even do Mega Drive if you want, same era. One thing that, okay, game developers, feel free to speak to me if you want to build this game. I understand that you're all looking for new ideas, but I've got you. Now, one thing that I always, it's even before SNES, it's NES. One game that always reminds me of that era, even though I never play any games like it and I never really want to, is Duck Hunt on the NES. Imagine a VR like Duck Hunt. How easy that would kind of be. You are just mooching around a grassy field, and you've like headset on, blaster in your hand, or gun in your hand, obviously, because it's going to be like a shotgun kind of thing. And you just all of a sudden over your left shoulder just hear a little bit of a rustle of the grass, and you turn around and this duck just flies off in the air, and you're like, pow, pow. Yeah. So
yeah, I would love that. To be fair, it's again, it comes down to the VR stuff. I really, really, really want to get into VR. One, I just don't have the money, and two, I think by the time I get into it, they'll be bringing something else new out that I won't be able to play that for 6 years. But yeah, I'd love to be able to get into VR big time. There's so many games that I want to play on it.
It's just so frustrating from a consumer perspective, because obviously we spoke about it. I think even this week we've had like PSVR, which didn't really get anywhere. PSVR are still investing in and hoping to make it work, as we've seen from that article talking about the SSDs, and the PS5 will have 8K capability and will still backwards compatible with PSVR. Probably going to be PSVR 2 in the works, but it's not really fully realised. And then you go to Oculus, and we've had the Rift, and now we're onto Quest, which is the wireless version, although it still needs to be wired to play other things properly or whatever. So even that's still not fully realised within itself. You got the Vive, you've got Microsoft. What's XR or something?
Yeah, you got the Vive, the Quest, the HTC Vive, the Oculus Quest. Yeah. I'm not sure of the new one that's coming out, or if it's already come out. I can't remember the name of that one.
There was the Oculus Rift, and then it became the new one is the Oculus Quest, which is all over Facebook.
That's the wireless one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Quest.
And then there was like Oculus Go or something like that, which was kind of, I think that was like a weird cheap, almost like a Vive-esque version. That's
the Android version.
Microsoft Windows Mixed Reality, is that what it's called? MR. That was Microsoft's version. But yeah, so it still needs to get somewhere. There is a VR version or one that looks like it. I'm assuming that's Duck Hunt. Oh well, okay. Game developers, you can keep your idea then. I'll play mine. Whatever. Doesn't care me. So yeah, I mean, I would love to get like into VR, like you say. I mean, the potential for it is badass. I mean, forget the fact that you need space to play it, which most people don't. I probably could make a setup in this room, which would be decent enough, he says, and then absolutely trashes his key lights, knocks the PC on the floor, small electrical fire, it's fine. But it's just, I mean, there's no games. The hardware isn't consistent. It's almost like having a mobile phone. Your mobile phone, you know you're getting rid of in a year, 2 years, maybe. A console or a PC, you want to keep for 5, 6, 7 years. Obviously, PC is a bit of a stretch to try to keep it that long, but consoles, 7 years. But we've been, in the last 7 years, there's been so many different attempts at VR headsets that haven't stuck. Until the VR headset becomes more like a console that you invest in and will stick around, as opposed to a mobile phone that you invest in and will get rid of in a year's time. Until it gets to that point, there's just... Even if they got Duck Hunt and fully realised my world-class potential idea, and not that cheap VR knockoff that already exists, then even if they got to that, until they get to that point, then it's not for me, mate. I'm out.
I'm just having a look at the VR games that are out on the PlayStation, and there is definitely at least 10 games that I would easily love to play. I'd love to play through Resident Evil 7 again in VR. Farpoint, that looks really good. That was the one that actually came with like a plastic VR gun, so that would be pretty good. Blood and Truth, I think that would be good. Firewall Zero Hour, I can't remember when that got released. 2018, that looked good. Beat Saber looks amazing.
Yeah.
I've still never been able to play that.
Same.
Skyrim, I'd love to be able to play that. I mean, that would probably send me under with the amount of times you'd have to start ducking and diving to be able to swing and kill your enemies. I'd probably be sick in that one. But Doom VR, that'll be amazing. Until Dawn, Rush of Blood. I think that's just like a roller coaster, like a, what do you call it? When you're in like a haunted house type of thing, and you're just going around on a roller coaster shooting shit. That looks pretty good. Everybody's Golf VR, I would spend hours playing that because one, I love Everybody's Golf, and two, I'd love to be able to play something like that in my front room because you won't have to do that much moving. So that'd be great. Gran Turismo, I'd probably have to invest in a steering wheel because you just look like a dick playing with the glasses on and a controller in your hand. That wouldn't be taking it to the next point. Arizona Sunshine is 110% a game that I really, really want to play. But I mentioned that about 1,000,001 times. The new Iron Man meant to be coming out. That's meant to be amazing. I've seen that at Gamescom, and I think it was at EGX too. And that's been reviewing quite well. Wipeout, maybe not.
I would love to play Iron Man. I saw that at Gamescom, but because we got in early, there was no one on the stand kind of thing. I was just like, I'd love to try it, but I don't want to linger around. I've got meetings to go to, so I just didn't try it. And then saw it at EGX, and I was just didn't have the time. I was only there for half a day, so I didn't see it. I'd love to try Iron Man VR because I think that I mean, kind of the screens that I saw, I didn't bring it up on screen, but I was talking about looking at Metroid Prime 3, and it was kind of within inside of Samus's mask, and you got all of the heads up like on-screen display UI stuff. And I think you instantly think of that when you, particularly if you think back to the first Iron Man film, where you've got like Tony Stark, you see a lot more of like his head. It's like just like
in the helmet.
Yeah. So I think Iron Man VR particularly makes that look badass because it kind of helps with the immersion because you've got a mask on your helmet. But then you've also got the mask on, which is the PSVR. So that the fact that your sensors are kind of almost enclosed in this box on your head adds to the immersion. But jumping back to you mentioned Farpoint. I've just googled Farpoint whilst you were talking through that, and the Farpoint did come with the PSVR aim controller, which I was thinking to myself yesterday, I didn't even remember that existed, although I do remember seeing it either at EGX or MCM a couple of years back. I was thinking, as if no one's just made like a plain gun that you can just hold and use for shooters, because that would make it so much easier to make shooter games. Well, obviously, Farpoint and the PSVR aim controller is that. Just my issue with it is how crap it looks.
It's got that big ball at the end of it, and it for the motion sensor and things like that.
Let's just open that up. So there you go, top right of the screen. This is just a Google image search for Farpoint. So that is the aim controller there in that dude's hand. A plain, horrible white naff, like almost laboratory-looking, like clinical gun. Not anything that's cool and immersive. I mean, the reasoning for that is clearly obvious. They've gone for something that's plain and simple can then be attributed to more things. If you create an M16 sort of shape, then people are going to think, well, this is an assault rifle. You can't use it as a pistol. You can't use it as whatever. So that does make sense. It just looks a bit crap. It looks like you'd give it to your kid. You go to Laser Quest. You get some big badass sort of bazooka blaster thing. So yeah, you kind of want that, but yeah.
Back in the day when the Wii was in its heyday and they brought things out, like I'm just going to drop the Resident Evil name again. They brought out Dark Side Chronicles and used to have a peripheral. It was like a pistol, and you slap the top of the Wii remote in it, and you could shoot the screen with it then. And that was a pistol, and you could change it for an assault rifle. If you was playing Medal of Honor, you'd put the Wii remote in the top, and you'd put the nunchuck at the back of it, so that's what you'd move, and you'd hold it at the screen like this as you're going through. And that was one of a kind. It was very, I'm trying to find the word for it, intuitive. That's probably not the right word. But yeah, if they could bring out stuff like that again, that would be great. But the Farpoint is definitely one I want to play. You can use that again for Arizona Sunshine, a game that I've heavily invested in, but I haven't played it yet because I don't have the unit. I'm hoping when I go to Arcade Club this Sunday that they'll have something like that there that I can play. I can't imagine it being as busy as it usually is on a Saturday there, so I may be able to try and get them to say, what other games have you got, rather than playing what they've got demoing, which is usually Beat Saber and another game where you just fire bow and arrows. The Inpatient, a survival horror game. Again, I want to play that. Bravo Team, that I don't think that reviewed as well as it should have done. And I think that's probably it for games that I want to play in VR. So there is, if I end up picking up VR for a decent price, there is a lot of games that I could probably still play. But again, you're still looking at about 400 sheets for the 2 remotes, the unit, the sensors, the games, and the gun thing. Yeah, I forgot the word gun. Can you believe that?
Well, I think my issue with the gun stuff is, like, that one gun comes with one game that you have to buy. I think for VR to be fully useful as well, nobody ever wants to go and buy those extras because it's almost anti-consumer. You've got to buy your PlayStation, then you've got to buy the PS4 VR, then you need to buy the Move stuff, then you need to buy like the add-ons to turn it into a pistol, and you need to buy that to turn it into a machine gun. They kind of need to put it all in the one box, and even if it's just like crap bits of plastic that fold up into certain shapes or whatever, and go, there you go, pretend this is an assault rifle. That sort of stuff in the box just makes it, okay, this is everything you need. And then you can do pretty much everything there. If a game then comes out and says, actually, we'd like you to have the Call of Duty Modern Warfare M416, so it feels like the one that you're using in VR. If the games want to add that on top, and that becomes like the collector's edition stuff, I think that's where VR needs to get to. But yeah, at the moment, the fact that there's none of that there, and you have to kind of like, you're always looking to upscale. It's like having a PC. It's just never good enough. I've got a PC, but I now need to add a new graphics card, and I need to do that. But having to do that for your game as well. I need to buy a new controller to play this game. It's just kind of like, so yeah. Just by the way,
But arguably, when it comes to things like Farpoint, you want to buy that game because you want to use the same reason I'd probably end up buying it, because I want to play that game with the controller rather than using the 2 Move controllers. Or if I'm playing Arizona Sunshine, I know full well that I'm going to be using the peripherals. So in some instances, yeah, I fully agree with you. But in the other cases, you are invested in the game because of that peripheral. Same reason, again, why I bought the peripheral for my Wii when I was playing Resident Evil. I could have just quite easily just pointed the controller at the screen, but I wanted to be Leon Kennedy. You know what I mean? I'm taking that pistol out, I'm slapping it at the top, and I'm shooting bitches.
Who's looking better, Bibby there slapping pistols? One thing to load up, just because it was mentioned and I found it. There is a game called Duck Season, which basically is Duck Hunt in VR, which is there on screen. There's an image of Duck Hunt left, and what Duck Season VR will look like on the right. I'm not going to go into gameplay. If you want to see
that is sick.
Yeah, exactly. Badass.
What console is that coming up for?
That was PC. There is a Duck Hunt VR on Steam called Duck Season.
Ah, that's so good.
Yeah. So yeah, exists. So what can I say? I'm thinking of ideas that are clearly genius and already been done. So I'm just copying it.
We need to get Lee to bring in his VR so that we can do some streams in VR. I think that's the next move.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he uses it anymore, and we've got more than enough space in this office to be, in this studio, sorry, to be able to play VR to its full potential.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think we need to try and get him to bring that in.
Moving on, do you know what Generation Zero is?
I know what Degeneration X.
Degeneration X.
No, I never heard of that. Generation Zero.
I'll just jump back here. So Generation Zero, I've just loaded up our next talking point, and it's on VG247, which we've had already on the site. We looked at an article by Gera. This one, similar sort of thing. It's just completely wrapped. So VG247, as you can see, we're going to look at VG247's alternate game awards. It's a pretty cool idea, so we're going to run through those to see out the show. But I just wonder what Generation Zero is. I've never heard of it, and it just looks almost like some sort of zombie-ish, post-apocalyptic kind of, I don't know, game. Almost like the Terminator as well in certain bits, but I just wondered what it was. Pretty cool how they've got Are they actual screenshots within the ads?
Well, I'm looking at it on Steam. It's priced at £21.49, and there's 5 different DLCs which come in at £7.78 for all of them. I've just seen Griff in the chat said that he played that and enjoyed it. Open world game where you kill robots. The recent reviews are very positive on Steam as well, so that's good. But no, I've never even heard of this before. It looks decent. It looks beautiful, to be fair.
Interesting. Anyway, we will come back to that. We're going to jump into the article that you can see on screen now. So this is VG247 presents the Alternate Game Awards of 2019. Do you know what? I'm gonna take the article off screen, and we'll run through it just because it's kind of obviously if you can see it on screen, you get spoilers. Basically, VG247 are just. I played that. I enjoyed it. Says Griff96. Open world game where you kill robots. They just brought an expansion for £5. Nice. Might be worth looking in that.
Well, I've just scrolled down to the bottom of the Generation Zero's page, and there's a little category that says 1980s nostalgia. Amongst the loot, you will find outfits and hairstyles to recreate your favourite 1980s style to take on the machines.
Radical Heights, did you say?
That's what it looks like. You can get like little varsity jackets and bomber jackets, Top Gun leather jackets with aviators.
Badass. Yep.
It looks amazing.
Okay, I'm going to check that out afterwards. I'm going to write a note for myself as well. But before I do that, VG247 presents the Alternate Game Awards 2019. This is an article written by Kirk, McKeand. And do you know what? I've showed you the first bit, so we might as well bring it up while I bring the introduction on screen. So it says, it's that time again where we look back over the year, contemplate our existence and the finality of our lives as we cascade towards our maggot-ridden graves. What an intro. The end of the year is always about self-reflection, and since we chose a job where we write about children's toys on the internet, we decided to reflect on the games industry itself. We'll have our picks of the best 50 games of the decade coming soon, but while we wait, we're here with another Alternate Game Awards. Check out our picks for 2018 at the link above, so it's linked within the article. So as you can see there on screen, this is kind of a mock of, we've got the Game Awards, we've got the Golden Joysticks, and there's a bajillion and one awards, and everyone does their end of year, best game of the year, best game of the decade kind of things. We'll probably be doing something like that soon on the channel, by the way. But VG247, as they did last year, created an Alternate Game Awards, which is where they kind of look at things and mock the industry itself. So, best use of clothes to boil virgin piss. Mortal Kombat 11. Which, I mean, what a name of a category. So in April this year, 10,000 virgins cried out in unison. It wasn't because their mum threw out their gunked up porn mags from under their beds, though. It was because some women in a fighting game were wearing too many clothes. Developer NetherRealm said it took a more respectful approach when designing its fighters for Mortal Kombat 11, which elicited backlash from the more idiotic corners of the internet. The best part of it is that some of the dudes in Mortal Kombat 11 have their manly pecs out, only furthering the frothing rage from the undateables. If you close off your mind and really listen, you can still hear a distant wah wah. Good work, NetherRealm. Good work. What an article. G. Do you know what? Actually, I will keep the article on screen. I'll roll through. Worst excuse for a character being a man goes to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I love the fact that in the article as well, they've put things like the actual awards. Worst excuse for a character being a man on the start there. Do you know why we ended up with Cal Mannequin Skywalker Kestis in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order? Because you can only have one female hero in Star Wars at any one time. Them's the rules, according to game director Stig Asmussen. We talked about different gender, he said. We arrived where we were because at the time, Rey was the thing for Star Wars, and so it made a lot more sense for us to have a male protagonist. Honestly, it makes a lot of sense, and I think we should retroactively go back and scrub all men from games until we're left with only one. And if we can only have one, let's leave Geralt alone and bin off everyone else, eh? Best propaganda. Call of Duty Modern Warfare. There's a scene in Modern Warfare that cribs off the movie Zero Dark 30, almost shot for shot. In the film about Osama bin Laden's capture, an unarmed man is murdered by US operatives. In the Modern Warfare version, the same man is a combatant who calls out for your death. Likewise, the Highway of Death featured in Modern Warfare is a real place. It's where the US bombed fleeing combatants on a busy road, killing innocents and children in the process. In Modern Warfare, it was the Russians who did it. The Modern Warfare developers feel comfortable ripping off real-world conflict, but they shy away from criticising the US. The Americans are the good guys. It's that simple. Now get out of your house, sign up and join the army to fight for your country in another country. Fuck yeah, hurrah, etc. America! Fuck yeah! Dumbest comment goes to Bobby Kotick. Activision Blizzard's chief executive says video games are no place for political views, mere weeks after releasing a pro-US military propaganda. We're not the operator of the world's town halls, he said. We're the operator of communities that like to have fun through the lens of a video game. Games are just fun, especially if you're American. Probably not if your family was killed by a drone strike, but hey-ho, nice one.
Good chat.
Nice one, but good chat. This article, I bet this was fun as fuck to write.
Absolutely.
Best embargo, Shenmue 3. Shenmue 3, unbelievably, is actually out. We got it on a Saturday, it came in the post, and then we got an email shortly after. If you're receiving this email, it's probably because I sent you a copy of Shenmue 3 in the post. It may have even arrived already. The embargo for all reviews /streaming/content lifts on Thursday the 21st of November at 12:01 GMT. I appreciate this is a couple of days after launch, but thanks in advance for your patience and cooperation. The game was due for launch on November 19th, and we were being asked to hold our coverage until 2 days afterwards. This decision was backtracked once word got out, but you have to admire the sheer gall of it. Imagine that. Sorry guys, I know that the game is out, and people in the general world can read the content for the game, but yeah, no reason, just hold off for 2 days, and then put your content out then. What? But yeah, anyway. You made that game again, goes to Ghost Recon Breakpoint. That's fucking amazing. Congratulations, you made the game. This year, Ubisoft made some big strides toward making sure all of its major games are essentially the same thing. Open world? Check. Guns? Check. Loot? Check. Damage numbers? Check. RPG systems? Check. Not content on making Assassin's Creed an RPG, Ubisoft decided that it was Ghost Recon's turn, transforming its tactical shooting series into a game where you make numbers appear from a man until he drops a +1 hat. Reception to this homogeneity was so bad that Ubisoft vowed to make its US games different in the future. Imagine that. Make its US games? What the hell? Where did I get US from? Make its games different in the future. Imagine that. Worst launch goes to Anthem. Anthem almost won 2 awards this year, but we didn't think it would be fair to all the other games deserving some recognition. Just know that it was also a shoe-in for the I Can't Believe That Came Out in 2019 award. But it did. It did come out this year. It was a game and everything. A game where you fly around in power armor and occasionally shoot some bugs. Not only was the core premise uninspired, but it launched with barely any game in it. The missions all played out the same, and it hits you with a progression block near the end point, asking you to shoot 50 bugs with an SMG, shoot 50 bugs with a shotgun, shoot 50 bugs with a pistol, open 10 chests, revive another player, log off, throw your copy in the sea, pray to Cthulhu that it never darkens your door again.
You know what? I'm tweeting this out on the ice cream. This is today's reading. You need to have a look at this. It is amazing.
It is. It's good. It's good. Biggest clusterfuck goes to ESA leaks. I love E3, but fuck you, the ESA. You still haven't apologised or made anything right for the thousands of journalists and content creators whose details you leaked on your website. Fuck you.
Yeah, EA's FIFA Global Series could have been up for nomination on this as well, because they did exactly the same thing.
Yay! Best Indie Studio goes to Kojima Productions. Gentlemen, when I first started Rainholm Industries, I had just 2 things in my possession. A simple dream and £6 million. Oh, amazing. So they go there, embedded Hideo Kojima's tweet. On 2015, December the 16th, I became independent. No office, just a tiny room, no staff, no machines, nothing. All I had was this KJP logo, notepad and pen, and my own PC. I started to work on the concept while recruiting staffs, finding office and game engine. Had a dream and connection. That's all. Thumbs up, says Hideo Kojima in a tweet on September 13th, 2019. Hideo Kojima was out on his arse when he split from Konami, but he built up his own studio, got a team to make a game, and got to travel the world promoting the game while they crunched on it. He really pulled himself up on his deteriorating bootstraps. The only help he had was from his army of celebrity friends, his loyal team of developers, his many contacts in the games industry, and his $30 million net worth. An inspirational startup.
Oh, God.
Amazing.
This is genius.
Oh. Biggest PR disaster. Funnily enough, we might have mentioned this a few times. Goes to Blizzard. When your company values displayed outside your office for everyone to see are think globally and every voice matters, the best way to show that is to ban someone and relinquish their tournament winnings for saying something about another country. A Hearthstone pro called Blitzchung Wei Chung used his winner's interview to call for democracy in Hong Kong, following a spate of protests and police brutality in the former British colony. Blizzard's response prompted major criticism and even protests during BlizzCon, which itself prompted the company to address the issue during the opening ceremony. Following the apology, Blizzard has since doubled down, admitting that reaching the Chinese market is more important than its own values. Damn, just put it down. Biggest bigots goes to Iron Fury devs. In an industry where people are constantly shitting their pants in public, how do you outshit the shitters? That's easy for the developers of Ion Fury, a forgettable retro FPS. Just put some homophobic jokes in your game. Once people caught wind of the jokes, the developer promised to patch them out. Then those lads who called people social justice warriors got offended at people getting offended, shouted at the developers some more, and they decided they were best to keep their homophobic jokes in their shit game. And then finally, best website goes to VG247. I know this is the VG247 Alternate Game Awards presented by VG247, but we honestly don't know how this even got in here, says VG247 about VG247, so fair play. Do you know what, after reading all the way through that, absolutely deserved to get best website in there.
Yeah, article of the year, that by an absolute landslide.
Yeah, GG, Kirk, McKeand, good effort. Good effort! But that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to our award for best podcast of the year, presented by Ice Cream Uploads and The Scoop, and we believe it should go to The Scoop from Ice Cream Uploads. High five, babe. I just slapped you in your box. I mean,
Do the Queen's Wave.
No other video games podcast in the world can you get Beard on demand. Yeah,
oh, for God's sake.
Look at that. And not only
I'm just trying to bring myself to it. I keep on moving.
Okay, you keep still. Stay there. I'll chase you with a beard. Ta-da! The Beard. Not only do we have the Beard, but we also have Baby on a shelf. Yeah.
Wait, I hope I've still got the beard.
We can make it happen. We can make this happen. Do you know what? Ladies and gentlemen, just bear with me while I absolutely destroy my Streamlabs OBS just to give Bibby a beard. Where is it? Oh, over there. It's a bit big.
That's what she said.
It's never what she said.
There we go.
There we go. Big beard on a shelf. Ta-da!
And if you want to see what Big Beard on a shelf looks like, feel free to watch this on YouTube time.
That, by the way, was, if you want to see what Bibby on a shelf looks like, feel free to watch this on YouTube in an hour's time, I'm guessing. It was kind of that, but Bibby only said every other word. So.
Oh, okay. Good times.
Yay! Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that, from me and Bib on a Shelf, is the end of today's school. Let's get rid of the beard. If you... Kangaroo Dog says, well, I come into it. We're mourning the fact that Bibby has lost his beard, so there we go. He's back. The Bib... Oh, what the hell? Just heard my own voice. Anyway, that is the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning in. Bibby will be back beardless and free with me tomorrow at 10 a.m. in the morning. Today's Tuesday there, so we do have extra streams for you on Ice Cream Uploads. Josie will be back continuing her playthrough of Death Stranding in just over half an hour. So make sure you stick around. If you've got nothing to do today, drop in. Watch her as she tries to deliver parcels in the best Deliveroo way possible. Deliveroo. But as I say, we will be back tomorrow with more Scoop and the rest of the week at 10 a.m. every single weekday. You can watch the full video back, and if like Kangaroo Dog, you've just tuned in and you think, why has Bibby got a beard on his face? And then when I remove it, you think, why hasn't Bibby got a beard on his face? Then you can check it back on YouTube in around an hour. So make sure you check that out. And if you don't have the time to sit there and watch a full video on demand, you can always get the audio demand on our 4 podcast services. We will link all 4 of those on our social media a little bit later on this afternoon too. So make sure you check out at Ice Cream Uploads across the board, or type !socials in the chat if you want to find the links right there. If you can't be asked typing anything, just !socials will give you all of the links in one go. Griff96 says, I'll be tuning in for sure in half an hour. Thanks for the stream, guys. Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much, Griff, for joining us today, and every other day as well that you've been dropping in. Much appreciated. And from myself, have yourself a lovely day. Baby, do you have anything that you'd like to add to the lovely people on Twitch and on Ice Cream Uploads YouTube and all of the podcast services?
I will try and say this without it cutting up, but again, if you do see anything on social media that you us to give our opinions on, then feel free to tag myself, which is at We've Got Webinio on Twitter, Graham_Day on Twitter, and also Ice Cream Uploads on all forms of social media, and we will be sure to include this in our next episode, which is tomorrow.
Yay! Okay, ladies and gentlemen, have yourselves a lovely day. Like I said, Josie will be back in around half an hour. The Scoop will be back at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Until then, stay frosty.